So well, I'm gonna wait here for a minute. I'm just gonna go ahead and drive, and we'll see if we get some people joining up here. Because I don't want to repeat myself. I guess I can clip the video later, if I probably won't. I'm too lazy for that. Alright, well, you know what? I'm just gonna jump into what I gotta say, actually, because I ain't got a lot of time. First things first. Oh, my door is ajar. So that's the first thing first. My door is ajar with doors. Apologize, my door is ajar. I don't know what door it is. Hold on. My truck is very smart. It knows when my door is ajar. Okay, so I'm just gonna jump into it. I like doing the live sessions so people could see live and maybe ask questions, but I have a couple things particularly that may be of help to some people out there. First of all, the basics. So in all my searching and scouring for the answer over all these years, sorry if I get quiet, it's because I'm facing a traffic decision. So I got this neighborhood and everybody parks on the road on different sides, so it's almost like a video game to try to navigate yourself through without hitting people and cars. Wow, a lot of cars, I guess, people for the holidays maybe. Okay, so promised myself I'd jump into this. Okay, so we talked about not everybody is the same, and as much as you can, you'll never really know how much they're gonna be able to benefit you. So, in my opinion, in the opinion of many medical practitioners that I've read their stuff on and talked to, and also anecdotally, a lot of people, you know, we don't have to put a percentage on it, but let's just say it's 50%. Okay, let's just say, and I think it's higher, but half the population of people dealing with mental illness, it could just be deficiencies in nutrients. There's a lot of stuff coming out there. Some of it's a bunch of hoopla. A lot of it is, you know, you got these two companies or two organizations trying to make lots of money: medical industry and then the nutraceutical industry, the naturopathic industry. And although there are a lot of good doctors out there, it is very hard to find one, to be honest. And then to find one that bridges the two together, possible. Which you really need, you know. But so basics and figure out, okay, what are you eating? Okay, if you're eating very terrible and leading a lifestyle that is conducive for poor energy, you know, anxiety, because a lot of stuff has MSG, you know, high glutamates. Nowadays, there's a lot of flavor enhancers and things like that, these chemical additives that can cause and or contribute to anxiety disorders. So the first thing is to rectify your diet as much as you can. The hard part about rectifying your diet when you're going through a hard time is typically that's when you want to eat the comfort foods that you grew up with. But it just depends on how willing and how desperate you are to get better. So that's it. So that's basic number one. And every good naturopathic physician worth their salt, I'm not sure what that means, but probably back when salt was like a commodity, maybe. But because I think it's a saying. But anyway, starts off on an elimination diet, every one of them, because I've been to 3, and they've all told me, and I'm talking about, these are naturopathic physicians that specialize in psychiatric care and who are also medical doctors, nurse practitioners, or psychiatrists that have jumped from mainstream psychiatry to that of a holistic approach, but that still do medications, but as a last resort. Anyway, they do elimination diet, and they find that 80+% of their patients see marketed improvement in 30 days, to the point where they don't need meds to begin with. So they always start there. So my first thing to say is, if you're not on meds, if you haven't taken meds yet, if you're not suicidal, or if you're not psychotic, obviously, but you're dealing with mild to moderate symptoms, check the basics. Do an elimination diet. Google elimination diet. Do a Paleolithic protocol, because that by itself, that might be it. That might be it. The next one is sunlight. You need plenty of sunlight, vitamin D, and you don't want to get hung up on all the supplements and taking mega doses of supplements. That can be dangerous. Targeted supplementation. If you're seeing a good doctor who is checking you for certain things, there are new testings that are emerging all the time. I mean, you might be low in folic acid, or you might have a mutation. There's a lot of people who have success with things like L-methylfolate and things like that. So that's always good. And for people that are mild to moderate, amino acid therapy, things like that, it really does actually work for a lot of people. So those are basics. We're talking about supplements, finding a naturopathic physician that is qualified, and getting plenty of sunlight, getting outside, fresh air, making sure that you're getting your heart rate up, you're getting your cardio in during the week. That is also hugely important. And social interaction. Social interaction is also important. So these are like the basic things. These are the outside of medication things that can actually cure you sustainably. But some people are so bad, as in myself, a lot of times, without medication, I would not be able to socially interact, or I would not be able to do things to a point where I can start the healing process. So that's where medication sometimes beneficial. I would talk to your doctor about all that. And I know, like, the fourth component, and if you read The Depression Cure is actually written by a team of high-end psychiatrists who got tired of prescribing Prozac, and they ended up developing this depression cure. They have a 92% cure rate out of their clinic, and all it is fish oil, and you can read it for yourself, or listen to it on Audible. It's called The Depression Cure, and I've heard his podcast on Rob Wolf's podcast, paleo thing. Brilliant practice. Fish oil, social interaction, sunlight, exercise. And the last one is rumination, though. So rumination can be the catalyst by itself. So you fill in all these blocks, and he even had a student that said, "Hey, I'm doing all the things you said, but I'm still not getting better." And the student at the university, he said, "Well, what about the ruminations?" And she couldn't get the ruminations under control. And that's where I'm struggling with. So I do all the other ones, but the ruminations, the constant negative thoughts, the hypervigilance, that the only way to get that under control is through spiritual health, mindfulness, meditation, reconditioning yourself. Okay, and that's going to lead me into the second topic of this video, which is the inner child, which I'm learning a lot about. So for the other portion of people who have mental health disorders, it's either physiological, dependent on possible nutritional deficiencies or exercise deficiencies, lifestyle factors, or actually I should say, it could be because it could be a combination, and often is, things that have happened in your past. So trauma. Okay, you could have the best diet in the world, you could all that stuff can help and does help. It can increase energy levels and it can help boost things in the brain. But if you suffer severe trauma as a child or as an adult, whether you're a rape victim, an abuse victim, a chronic pain victim, and there's a lot of us, and it's actually a very staggering proportion days. But man, it's 4 o'clock and it's already getting dark. So depressing. Anyway, so that's the other thing. So it's trauma, and working on the trauma part of it, because I always thought if I fixed the external, I lost about 55 pounds, a healthy loss at that time. Just lots of running, quitting drinking, those sort of things. I just lost lots of weight. And like I've said in my other videos, and I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but I did the healthy approach, and I actually felt worse for it because I was self-medicating a lot. Okay, so trauma. The only way through trauma is through Christ, through spiritual growth. Like I said, mindfulness practices. Look at Dr. Gupta, and I'm learning a lot about the inner child with that. And there are practices that are going to be tailored to you. So if you're a trauma typically is EMDR. You can look at that, and then personality, behavioral things, DBT. So there's a lot of different therapies that will benefit the individual based off of their core issues. So once again, do the basics, because the basics might get you 25% better, and that 25% better might escalate you to get another 10%. Because if you feel 25% better and you have a little bit of energy, you might actually go to the store. And then if you go to the store, you might feel a little better, and then so this upward spiral can be just as fast as your downward spiral. But I will say, with a huge but, typically people, it takes them a long time to get to where they are. So you can't expect rapid improvement. At least you shouldn't expect it. It can happen, and God willing, it will happen, but you can't put a time limit on your healing. So you have to just kind of take that with a grain of salt. Just don't put a time limit on your healing. Just know that you are doing the right things to getting better, and every day being proud of yourself for eating that new diet or doing the things that you need to do. So the trauma work, I'm not going to talk a lot about it. There's a lot of resources out there, but obviously if you're like, well, I've never suffered any trauma in my life at all, and you really go back and I haven't, then it's probably more of a nutritional deficit kind of situation, and probably be resolved through a lot of TLC, therapeutic lifestyle changes. And I'd be a big advocate for that. But when I talk to my psychiatrist and my therapist, they call them T's for trauma, and they say I have a lot of T's, big little traumas that I need to work through. So anyway, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna make it 20 minutes or less. So the next topic is non-drug drugs. So although I quit drinking and I never did actual like recreational drugs, although I quit drinking and smoking and all those things, Video games, porno can be a drug. Pornos are drugs. I didn't realize this. Distractions. So the distraction as a drug can really impede some of your growth if you're constantly having to distract yourself away from yourself. I find myself having to watch a Netflix show, get really, really, really into it for a period of time, and I have to hit that next episode. I get that dopamine hit, and then when it stops, then I'm very when the show ends, I have to find another show, and I become very depressed. So I have to find that you know, that constant distraction, and I was doing that for many years, and it was helping. I thought, once again, none of these things are sustainable. Using distraction as a drug, pornography, food, all these things, these are not sustainable. The things that are going to be sustainable are TLC, like I said, therapeutic lifestyle changes, core work on trauma if you've had trauma, and acceptance and surrender. I would strongly advise the DARE response and At Last a Life. Those are two books that saved me and saved my life at some dark times. So, and if whoever just joined, I would go back and watch this video because I talk about what I talked about in the title in a little bit more detail, and I'm in the process of wrapping it up. So, just look at your life, do a mental inventory or an internal audit to figure out what if you have any other drugs, non-drug drugs, that you're employing, that if you're constantly having to go, that is going to lead to a burnout. That's what happened to me. I had to be on the phone. I have to be running. I have to be listening to music. I had to be going. And that was really good for me, it seemed, for a while. And I really felt like I was being part of the world again. But with that led to a really bad crash. And then as soon as I started to get better, once again, I put myself out there too much. So finding balance for me and for a lot of people with mental illness is the key to sustainable recovery. And it's not just one thing that leads to sustainable recovery. I mean, yes, there are thousands of people, tens of thousands, millions of people that take medications that help, and then they have to switch medications and this and that. And I know a lot of people that do well with medications. What I am talking about for me and for a lot of people like me is sustainable ways to eventually get off of medicines if you're on medicines, or finding outlets and avenues that will allow you not to have to take medication. Had I had this knowledge before, I would have tried these other approaches, and I may never have even needed Xanax from the very beginning. I could have done the deep breathing, the mindfulness, the meditations, or I could have only been on Xanax for a month or two as opposed to 6 years, while I was working on core work with a therapist. But I was never told this. I didn't have, at that time, any insights into nutrition, into trauma-based approaches, or deep breathing techniques, or any of that stuff. But that stuff does work. And I think in the society we're so hung up on that it has to be a pill to correct the imbalance. But the truth is there are a lot of people that are getting better without pills. I was not one of them, and I can't sit here and say that to you, but one day I do hope to say that to you, that I'm medication free and doing amazing. But so listen to the video if you joined later, and that's what I want to talk about. I just want to get that out. The sun is already setting behind me. I missed it again today. I guess I really have to get out here earlier. So but anyway, well, God bless, guys. Please subscribe, leave your comments. I think this video is one of my best, as far as I kept it on topic, and the topics are crucial to all of our healing. Okay, well, I'll talk to y'all later, and anyway, if I can figure out how to. Yeah, Pebbles End. Go back and watch it. Okay, so, and real quick, this guy wants to talk about Teen Up. Teen's really addictive. Maybe you're the guy that commented to me about it being opiate, whatever. Do your research because it's not true. Um, there are people that have taken tianeptine in very high dosages that have put them in the hospital, but it is no more addictive, and it's actually less addictive than most medications. If you're chasing an opiate high, it is not. It does not. It's not a. It is not an opiate. So you can stop saying it's an opiate because it's not. It does work on the mu opiate receptor very minorly, and it gives you a slight body buzz, very slight. But that is transient and goes away, and I know that from personal experience. And if you read the PubMed studies, you'll find out the true information of the MOAs, the mode of action of tianeptine. But that's for another video. We could talk about tianeptine. I did not want to talk about supplements or medications in this video. So anyway, all right, take it easy.